Okay, so today we're going to stop by the local Salvation Army thrift store to see what they have with a special surprise at the end.
Hey there, treasure hunters. I'm Gina, mother, teacher, crocheter, theater directing, antique and vintage reseller, wearing the most amazing overalls you've ever seen. So join me as I learn, shop, buy, and sell all the fantastic things while I'm living on Tulsa time.
So I went to the Salvation Army in Tulsa and I was a little kerfuffled because the shelves were empty. As you can see, I walk in and there wasn't much to see. I always liked the green department. There was one ramekin, but the shelves were absolutely bare. It was a little kerfuffling. There were some couple of items, but they were all definitely kind of like low-key rejects. I didn't find much. I thought this was kind of cute. Definitely was. I was like, was that treasure craft? No, not really. Just kind of looking around at, I just wasn't impressed. But I saw these candlesticks. I got really excited. I picked them up. I was like, oh, wow, these are so cool. And look at that big giant chip. I went ahead and put them back. In the red department, again, there wasn't a lot there. A couple of things I picked up were contemporary or were damaged. And I'm going to be honest, seems to be a trend that I'm finding all over Tulsa every time I go. Just not a lot of stuff. I wondered if this was something I should have picked up. That was kind of cool. But I don't know. I was like, am I just late? Are the thrifting gods against me? I don't know what's going on here. I can usually find some really good hidden treasures. That had a big chip on it, so I went ahead and left it. And again, I'm not really looking for like full finding inventory stuff. I'm just kind of finding some of those extra special things because I do have a lot of items in stock. So, more than anything, I'm looking to complete some of my collections, but I still am looking to see if there's anything that I can offer to everybody. I usually find some awesome stuff in the white department over here at this particular Salvation Army. They'll have some fairly cool stuff. I've gotten some really fantastic things, but it was just mostly just plain, nothing to write home about or nothing pretty. There wasn't a lot of stuff. And so I just kind of was perusing. I love coffee mugs. Sometimes I can find a good coffee mug. Didn't find anything of interest. And I do like collecting like 80s kind of vintagey coffee cups. I think that they're kind of fun. And I've gotten rid of all of my like standard set coffee mugs. And I'm going to more kind of like larger, funky individual ones. I always like to check out the picture frames. Sometimes you can find some pretty cool vintage art. So never skip on the picture frames, or you can just find some good picture frames. I also like good vintage picture frames. Don't forget I have an addiction to clear glass, and so I had to check that out. These mugs kind of caught my attention. They definitely were vintage and had something on the bottom, but I didn't want to mess with the tape to fully look. This is kind of like the black and gray section, and there wasn't much happening here either. And I just kind of was like, come on. And I saw this like gray vase there, and I was like, oh, that could be kind of, no, I could tell it was painted on, nothing important. But then this derpy little dog, look at his little face right here, his eyes, he looks petrified. Looks like somebody just dropped him off at the pound. So we went over to the pinks. That could have been treasure craft, but I just decided to leave it. Sometimes there's some really good finds, and I have found some good things. I really do like this particular Salvation Army. I found some pretty great treasures here. I have a secret spot that every time I look in, I always find something, but I'm not going to tell you guys where that's at, but it's the same spot, and it's always the best stuff I've ever found. These are going to be probably my biggest regret not picking up. So this is a set of Denby. I go back to it a couple of times. Look at how fantastic the bowls are. I love the pedestal feet. They have some great detail. The thing that kind of kept me from picking them up was a couple of them had some silverware marks in them. We had some of the Gibson Fiesta ware style. These I looked at, they were definitely contemporary and lightweight. They weren't quality. I do like a good coaster. I do like sets of coasters, but I need to stop picking them up. I have a pretty full inventory. These were lightweight. They kind of look like hobbyist pieces maybe. I don't know. They weren't like super great. That kind of was a pretty dish. I love plates. This little restaurant-ware plate. I was like, if I could find the cup to that, I was going to pick it up. That I was like, oh, is that going to be? Nope, it's Teleflora. There was a full set of these, and they were very lightly colored. So they're amethyst glass, but they weren't like the hazel atlas or any of the like prominent. So I thought maybe they'd be a little newer, but there was a bunch of cracks and chips in them. Had to go check out the clear glass. I thought these were cool because there was like kind of a colored etch on them. Sometimes you can find like just unassuming things that turn out to be pretty cool, like flower frogs. I thought this was kind of neat. You can find, I love a good cake stand. I also love finding like pieces of fairy lights, things like that. So never skip on the clear glass. Also, this is where I get a lot of my drinking glasses from. So don't buy new drinking glasses. Look, I thought that was cute. I almost picked that up because I have the rectangle one, but it's like, now I've been holding on to it for a second. These were kind of silly. I thought these were neat. I think they're just little fidgets or something. They were magnetized, and there was like a bunch of them. I should have picked them up for my kids, but I didn't. Especially my high school kids, they like fidgets. I usually can find some interesting things here in the little like random bins. That cake plate had a lot of like cracks and crazing to it, but I thought it was kind of cool. Little pioneer woman looking. Some offshore glass. I thought these were kind of fun. I mean, I love a good vintage pattern. Look at that. So great. Definitely 1950s. I had to look at all of them, and I was like, nope, put them back. You don't need them. You don't need the plates, but I will buy plates. These were cool. I thought these were going to be, they're melamine, and I was like, man, those are nice. That was kind of interesting too, but I think it was a hobbyist piece. I don't know. I put it back. Nothing was really speaking to me. That elephant, I was like, yeah, I do love an elephant. Womp, womp, womp. Big old chunk taken out of his ear. Like I said, I guess I'm just coming late. I'm wondering if people are hitting the Salvation Army first thing in the morning and they're getting all the good stuff, and maybe going after school isn't the thing. But I'm going to tell you, in the past, I've gone in the afternoon and it's not been so sparse. These I almost picked up. I think these were Shawnee, and I'm kind of regretting not getting those. But again, I'm not trying to fill my inventory. See, I went back to the Denbys. Golly, they're pretty. I really do hope somebody picked those up. They were half off. In that one, you could see there was a lot of the silverware utensil marks, but they're still fantastic. And I was like, yeah, look at that. Yeah, nothing going on there. And sometimes you can find little treasures, but it just was so bare. Get it? Bare. The shelves were bare. But I'm just kind of looking through, seeing if there was anything of interest that I had to have. Nothing I had to have, nothing I thought anyone else would desperately have to have. So if you see something that I might have missed, let me know in the comments. I like to go over to the pots and the pans because sometimes you can find pieces of things like lids that actually go to something else and they don't go to a pot. I have some Chromex, and so I'm always on the lookout for like Chromex lids and stuff that are metal, but they go to like a glass dish. So I'm always on the lookout, always kind of go over here and check it out. Sometimes there's some nice little trinkets. Look at this wolf. He's a wolf, not a wolf, it's a wolf. Back to the Denbys. I was really thinking about it, guys. Really thinking about it because they're great. I could have gotten the 4 bowls and then the 4 plates as underplates, but I didn't. I was looking at these pressed glass bowls. They're really pretty, but I had enough of clear glass, so I kind of left it behind. And I thought that was cool. That was actually plastic, and I like plastic that looks like glass for theater. I need to start picking more of that up for my plays. I was looking at that. This was neat. It was definitely pressed glass made to look like cut glass. I really wish the lid to this was somewhere. It was like probably a little wooden lid. How cute is that little vintage thing? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, I ended up picking up one of these electric knives, and I bought it and I took it to school, and they cut fantastic because we do a lot of cardboard. It's like cutting butter. So if you're into crafting, I highly recommend getting one of these because it was beyond helpful. I actually used it yesterday to cut out fish, and I loved it. These were super sweet. I'm sad I left them behind, but again, I don't necessarily need them, but look at the little detail. Oh my gosh. But I didn't pick anything up. All right, so here's the surprise, is that this is a new antique mall opening up in Tulsa, and it's at 31st and Harvard, right off the highway. And here is my stuff. I wanted to give you guys a little preview. I have got this blanket that took me forever to make. I made that. Isn't it gorgeous? The size of a queen bed. I did a little milk glass theme, so everything is milk glass, including the jewelry. Everything there you see. Ta-da! So if you're in Tulsa, stop by, take a look at the booth, but let me know what you guys think. This is how it's all set up. So I appreciate you guys watching, and make sure you give me a like, give me a follow, make sure you share the video. That would be fantastic, just to kind of start building up a little following, and I would love a comment. So I appreciate everyone for watching, and I will see everybody later.